Okay, so this little video is on percentage, and it's a basic introduction to percentage, going right back to the meaning of percentage and how we calculate percentage. And we'll start with the meaning. And as you can see, I've written that percent means in every 100. That's literally what it means. So that means that when I write down 50%, that literally means 50 in every 100. In other words, half, because 50% and half are the same. So if I have 300 and I take 50 in every 100, then that means I'm going to have 3 lots of 50, 150. So 50% of 300 is 150. Oh, and that's half of 150, because 50% and half are the same. So that means every time I have 1%, that means 1 out of every 100. So that means 1% of 100 is 1. Okay, let's look at some easy ways to go from there to calculate bigger percentages. For example, what's 2% of 100? Well, I've doubled the question. I'm still going out of 100, but I had 1 before, 1%, now I've got 2%. So that means that this answer is also going to be double. 1% of 100 is 1, 2% of 100 is 2. I hope that's pretty easy for most of you. And if we're just calculating out of 100, then there are a lot of fairly easy ones we can look at. For example, 10%. 10% of 100 is going to be 10. 15% of 100 is going to be 15. 47.5% of 100 is going to be 47.5. Calculating percentages out of 100 is about the easiest thing we can do. So let's make it a little harder. Okay, here's a series of questions for me. My first one is nice and easy. 5% of 100 is going to be 5. 5% of 300, well, I've increased my of amount, my of 3 by 3. I've multiplied by 3. So what I'm going to do here is I'm also going to multiply by 3 and get 15. 5% of 300 is 15, because that's 3 times 5% of 100. All right, what about 5% of 10? Well, what I've done here is I've divided this number from this one to this one. Let me make this clear. So that green one, instead of multiplying, I've divided by 10. So that means that my answer is also going to get divided by 10. Dividing by 10 is, again, one of the easiest things I can do. From 5, I just go to 0.5. 5 divided by 10 is a half, 0.5. Okay, so what about if I'm calculating 5% of 110? Sounds like something I'm going to need to grab my calculator for. However, I actually already have the answer here. 5% of 110 is going to be 5% of 100 added to 5% of 10. So in fact, I just need to add these two numbers together, which I can do without the use of a calculator. 5% of 110 is 5.5. I bet you didn't think you could do that without a calculator. So let's do another one without a calculator, just to show we can do this. So I want 5% of 620 now. So let's go back to my black. What I'm going to do is I'm going to use, first of all, this value. I know that 5% of 300 is 15, so 5% of 600 is going to be 30, but then I also want 5% of 20, and that is going to be double this, because 20 is doubling 10. So that's going to give me a 1, because 0.5 doubled is 1. So I'm going to have 31. So let me go through it again. I got the 30 because I knew that it was going to be double 5% of 300 to give me 5% of 600. And I got the 1 because I knew that 5% of 20 would be double 5% of 10. which gives me 1. All right, here's one for you to do. All right, here's a series of questions for you to do. What I'd like you to do is pause the recording and get some paper and try and work it out, and then hit play again and you'll see what the answers are. And just as a reminder, here's the first one to get you going, but you should hit pause now because the first series of answers is going to be up after this. Go. Okay, hopefully these are the answers you came up with. 3% of 1,000 is 30, because that is 10 times 3, and 1,000 is 10 times 100. And going the other way, dividing by 10 gives me 0.3 for 3% of 10, because 10 is 100 divided by 10. So 0.3 is 3 divided by 10. Now I'm mixing and matching and adding together. 3 lots of 3% of 100 is 3% of 300, and then adding my 3% of 10, so 9.3. And similarly in this last one, all I'm changing is I'm adding in this extra 2,000, so that's going to be double my 1,000 amount, so that gives me 69.3. The last one's a bit of a challenge, so I'm going to show you actually how I'm calculating it. The answer is going to be 3% of 1,000, but then take away 3% of 10. You should be able to do this in your head. You might be able to do this in your head, but I'm writing it down just as an aid, and the answer to that is 29.7. Okay, so here's a little recap. Percent means out of 100, and if we start by calculating a percent out of 100, it's possible to use mental methods to do the other calculations. But what if we don't want to use mental methods? That's what the next video will show you.